So last week's MSC Cruise Compass Live had an unexpected audio issue that I didn't catch until after the broadcast. Rather than leave you without the information, I wanted to re-record it so you could enjoy the presentation the way it was intended. Welcome aboard, everyone. I am Joe with Premium Travel Group, and welcome to another episode of Cruise Compass Live, where we help you become a smarter, more confident traveler. Before we get started, I do want to take a moment to apologize for having to cancel last night's live. We experienced a late evening medical emergency in our family, and family always comes first. Thankfully, things are doing better today, and I truly appreciate everyone's understanding, prayers, and patience. Now, let's get back to talking about something more enjoyable, cruising. Tonight, we're continuing our cruise line series as we take a closer look at MSC Cruises. This is actually a cruise line that I know personally. My most recent cruise was aboard the MSC Seashore, where we also visited MSC's beautiful private island, Ocean Key, and Marine Preserve. So tonight, I'll be sharing not only information about the cruise line, but also some of my very own experiences along the way. So let's get underway. Who is MSC Cruises? Well, MSC Cruises is one of the fastest growing cruise lines in the world. While many people in North America are just discovering MSC, they've actually been around for decades and are part of the MSC Group, one of the largest privately owned shipping companies in the world. MSC combines modern European style with family-friendly cruising and continues investing billions into some of the newest ships at sea. They operate ships across the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, the Northern Europe, Southern America, the Middle East, Asia, South Africa, and worldwide cruises. They've become a major player in North America over the past several years. This includes building one of the world's largest cruise terminals in Miami that can hold 3 ships at a time. The MSC currently operates more than 20 ships spread across several different classes. Some of those classes include the Lyrica class, the Musica class, the Fantasia class, the Meraviglia class, the Seaside class, and the World class. Now, real quick, I'm going to give you a preview of the MSC World America, which is their newest ship, sailing exclusively from Miami. Their newest ships are absolutely stunning. The examples include the MSC World Europa, their first world-class ship. Of course, the World America, which we just previewed. They've got the MSC World Asia that is preparing to begin sailing. They've also got the MSC World Atlantic, which will be built next year and will be sailing out of Port Canaveral year-round. They do have the MSC Seashore, which is right here in the picture. This is a picture that I took on our cruise in Nassau. So beautiful ship. I really do recommend it to people. It is wonderful. Her and her sister ships, the Seaside, the Seascape, and the Seashore, are all pretty much sister ships. The Eureba, I'll be going on and have a review for you guys in December of the Meraviglia. So lots of things to do. One thing you'll quickly notice about MSC, the ships have a very modern, elegant feel compared to many other cruise lines. So what makes MSC different? MSC really stands apart in several ways. First, it's a European atmosphere. They are based out of Italy, so it's got all that European flair to it. It's more of an international experience that way. You'll hear multiple languages on board, and that is due to their presence in Europe and Mediterranean before they came over to America. People already know them and sail them, across the pond, as we'll say. So they come over here now to be able to enjoy the Caribbean and everything that we've got to offer. That means you'll meet guests from all over the world. The food also reflects that international influence. For many travelers, that's one of the biggest attractions. For others, it can, it kind of throws them off. You're not going on board a Carnival or a Norwegian or a Royal Caribbean that is already geared towards the American food fare. It's a European food fare that they are slowly but surely, making it better for the Americans with what we're used to. Example, the Seashore just added on two different eateries, one being a barbecue joint, the other being a chicken place, fried chicken. Okay, so you can see that they're making their adjustments to bring more people in and make people more comfortable with what they are. And as far as beautiful ships go, honestly, MSC builds some of the most beautiful cruise ships sailing. You know, their atriums are filled with Swarovski crystal staircases, absolutely beautiful and stunning to be able to walk down, let alone just, get your picture in front of. It makes the atrium just that much more impressive. On the Seashore, it was a 4-story atrium, and they, had entertainment throughout the day and night in the atrium. So it made it a great place to gather. And with it being as open as it was, you could be on any deck and be able to enjoy that entertainment. The gorgeous out store spaces, they make the ships feel elegant without being stuffy. You're not on top of one another. On the, my recent sailing on the Seashore, I found myself constantly stopping just to admire the design of the ship. They have themed areas, and they do a wonderful job as you transition from one theme to the other. It's absolutely incredible what they have done. MSC is a great value. It's one of the best values in cruising. Many of their sailings are priced lower than comparable cruises on other lines, while still offering, that modern new ship, the excellent entertainment, the multiple dining options between the buffet, the main dining room, specialty dining, casual dining, all the family activities. Their kids club is incredible. Very beautiful accommodations. Matter of fact, here's an example of the yacht club for you. And that was just a brief thing of the yacht club. The very last part of that was part of the yacht club at Ocean Key. So special area just for those in the yacht club. That yacht club is, the ship within the ship. If budget matters, MSC is definitely worth looking at. Their private island, everybody, talks about the private islands with, Royal Caribbean, their huge water park. Norwegian is building their brand new water park on their private island. I loved Ocean Key. They keep it is first and foremost a marine preserve, and then it's a private island. And here's kind of an example of that. So as you can see, doesn't have a huge swimming pool, doesn't have water slides. It is one of those where you just get there and you're extremely peaceful. I mean, MSC transformed this from a former industrial sand excavation site into the marine preserve. You'll find beautiful beaches. We spent all of our time on South Beach. There's also North Beach right across the lagoon from South Beach. They've got 8 beaches total. So you've got plenty of beaches to pick from, including Lighthouse Beach, which is the beach closest to the ship itself, and where they have the lighthouse that you saw in that video. And that lighthouse becomes a nighttime show. So the ships typically stay there either till midnight, or they're going to stay there and overnight there, which is what our ship did. And it was great to be able to enjoy the beach 2 days in a row, not worry about a thing. We spent $37 per day to have a couple of lounge chairs and an umbrella, which I strongly recommend. The growth on the island hasn't happened yet, so there's not a lot of shade underneath the palm trees. But by getting that, we had a reserved area where we could go to and just enjoy it. Our grandson absolutely loves swimming in that crystal clear lagoon water. The way, no waves, it's a water, but it just, he loved it, and, actually complained every time we went to leave, which is unusual for him. They've got snorkeling because they have built coral reefs, just offshore. So you can get some wonderful snorkeling in. So, bring your snorkeling equipment, or you can rent it once you're there. You've got paddleboarding, which, to be honest with you, I do love to refer to as a quick buffet board for the sharks, but that's just me. Don't worry about that. They've got, jet ski rentals. So you can, if you're looking for adventure, it's still there. And it is absolutely wonderful. And we already talked about the relaxing beach. That is really the key to Ocean Key, is just how much relaxing beach they've got. And the beaches are all included. You don't have to do like I did and rent a lounge chair. I just recommend it if you want to get out of the sun a little bit, just to kind of help you. But, and you can also rent cabanas if you want to. I didn't want to go that pricey for myself. It was only 3 of us. But you can bring your towels and just set up on the beach like you would at any, regular beach here in the United States. Again, the light shows at night were just absolutely incredible. It's choreographed. It's a LED. It just, it really is incredible there. It feels much more like spending a day on a tropical island than visiting an amusement park. And don't get me wrong, I do love Coco Key. I do love Great Stirrup Key. But they are kind of becoming more amusement park and less, tropical island feel. You can get to spots on them, absolutely. And we're going to go more in depth into private islands later on as we conclude our, cruise line series here. For us, it was definitely the highlight of the cruise, of course. Dining wise, MSC, we kind of talked a little bit, but it includes many dining experiences. You've got the main dining rooms, absolutely beautiful. Marketplace buffet. The buffet is, typically, a third to half of the boat on the top deck. They've got specialty restaurants. I mean, some of them include, the Butcher's Cut Steakhouse, the Kaito Sushi, Kaito Teppanyaki, Ola Tacos and Cantina. You've got Ocean Key Restaurant, which is on Selected Chips, but that is their seafood restaurant. And then it's an Italian company. So if I didn't mention that their pizza was some of the best on the sea, I would be remiss, because honestly, that's all my grandson seemed to want to eat was the pizza. It was just that good. And many experienced cruisers just like me consider it, like I said, the best at sea. So entertainment, you're going to get Broadway style productions. Now, they don't do like NCL and Royal Caribbean does and bring in actual Broadway shows. They are just Broadway style with their own in-house, people. Still absolutely incredible. They've got live music throughout the ship. You don't have to worry about that. Acrobatic performances, magicians. They do have theme nights. Lots of family activities. Kids clubs. The kids clubs are sponsored by Legos, so the kids will have plenty to do. Many of the newer ships also have, incredible technology throughout their entertainment venues. Example, the MSC is a big sponsor of Formula One, so they've got a actual Formula One car. Well, not an actual one, but it looks exactly like one. Set up inside their game area, and you can pay. I forget how much it was. I didn't do it, but you can actually go ahead and simulate driving an F1 car. So really cool for that. Who do I think MSC is best for? I really, I think it's great for everybody. Families, couples, first time cruisers. Travelers just looking for an excellent value, guests wanting to experience, more international atmosphere. If you're expecting every cruise line to feel exactly like Royal Caribbean or Carnival, MSC is different. Okay. And honestly, that's really part of the appeal there. My personal thoughts, having recently sailed on MSC Shore, I came away generally impressed. This was not my first MSC cruise. I will definitely say that. The ship was beautiful. The crew worked incredibly hard. Ocean Key was outstanding. I rank it as one of the top two private islands I've been to. Ocean Key and Harvest Key by NCL are my two favorite islands. Now, no cruise line is perfect. Every line has its strengths and its areas where they shine. So it may not be for you, but it is definitely one that I recommend people take a look at. And like I said, I have personally experienced. I spend a lot of my time going between all the cruise lines so that when I talk to my clients, you get a much better idea of what I'm talking about, because I'm talking from personal experience. And MSC has quickly become one that I would sail again. As I said, I'm already booked on another one in December. My wife, son, and daughter-in-law and grandkids are going on one in November. We are booking one, looks like right now we're planning one in 2028. We're doing a couple of Princess cruises next year, and probably throw another, Norwegian or something like that in there as well. So as we look ahead throughout the series, we're exploring what makes each cruise line unique. So far we've looked at Norwegian Cruise Line and MSC Cruises. And next week, Thursday at 7 o'clock, we're going to continue the series, and we're going to take a closer look at Carnival Cruise Lines, which is often called America's Cruise Line. We'll talk about what Carnival does best, who it's ideal for, and how it compares to the other cruise lines we've already covered. So a question for the audience: I'd love to hear from you, whether you have sailed on MSC. What was your favorite ship? Would you cruise with MSC again? Please drop your thoughts and questions in the comments area, and I'll be happy to answer them as I get a chance to. So I do thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me. Don't forget to join me each day on our social accounts for our Cruise Compass Minute, where in about 1 minute we share a quick cruise tip, a destination highlight, travel insight, anything to help you become a smarter traveler. And be sure you mark your calendars for next week's Cruise Compass Live, Thursday, 7 p.m., as we continue our cruise line series with Carnival Cruise Line. If tonight's episode was helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like, follow, and share it with someone who's planning their next cruise. Until next time, I'm Joe with Premium Travel Group. God bless and smooth seas.